Hi and welcome to Real Reviews. My name's Martin Carr and today we've got an exclusive interview with costume designer Allison Pearce, who worked very recently on Clerks 3 and took some time out to have a chat with me. So, let's get into it. So we're going to just jump straight in with the obvious question, which is, I guess, the how and the when of when you were approached to work on Clerks.
I was approached to work on Clerks 3. I know one of the producers, Amy Jarvella, from a previous project we worked together. That was an Owen Wilson film, and we really liked working together. And then it happened to be that her next project was Clerks 3. And she approached me and sent me the script, and she said, "Are you interested in meeting Kevin?" And we clicked, and then I did the movie. Yeah.
As a costume designer, at the start of any particular project, whether it's television or film, creatively, what's your jumping off point? Where's your starting point?
Well, I think this project is different than almost every other project I've done. I think this was so research heavy. I read the script and right away I knew the movie aspects, like when they're shooting Inconvenience, they're all callbacks to Clerks, the original Clerks. So I had to pore over the original film and find film stills of the VHS footage of that, basically. So doing research in this sense was sort of deciphering grainy black and white footage and, like what kind of sneakers Jason Mewes wore in original Clerks. They happened to be an Asics gel Saga. I used to work on Saturday Night Live, and I saw this process more like kind of like a sketch research process. When I worked on SNL and we did parody, part of like the art of parody is getting it exactly correct and making the audience, it needs to be seamless for the audience. And I think that was my main job on Clerks 3, was figuring out how to make those scenes and Inconvenience so perfect that no one would question them.
And that sort of leads me on to my next question, which is, obviously Kevin has lived with these characters for almost 3 decades now. So from a collaborative point of view, he seems like a very verbose, very knowledgeable guy. How much of his input directly sort of influenced any choices that you made in the actual project?
I think that Kevin is such a great collaborator, and he really encouraged me to go for it, specifically with Elias. He reminded me recently that the script said, the line was, "Elias now wears a metal t-shirt." And that was the only thing scripted as far as his visual transformation goes. And that was sort of like this tiny little jumping off point for me. I remember after the first fitting with Trevor, Kevin called me and he was like, "Go for it. Like, you can really, show some creativity and range with this character." I think that was where I was able to kind of flex and try lots of different things and see what worked. And Elias has over 20 costume changes in this movie, which is a lot for a Kevin Smith film. They mostly wear, like Randall and Dante mostly kind of stick to t-shirts and quick stop smocks and hockey jerseys, and that's a formula that Kevin wants to follow, but Elias was different. That was a very different character.
I was going to say with Jeff Anderson and with Randall, with the character, I think he goes through. I think you hit double digits when it comes to the changeover of the t-shirts, because sometimes he's wearing 2, and I don't know if any of those had significance to the character or were choices that fed into the project itself. Did you want to expand maybe on that?
So all the t-shirts, they're all callbacks and Easter eggs from the View Askew universe. And Kevin specifically had started working on those graphics. It was like at least a year before I came on board. He has 2 graphic designers that he works with, Nate Gonzalez and John Spregelmeyer, and they had all these graphics ready to go. And then when I joined the project, it was my job to find homes for those graphics. Specifically, like Ranger Danger was a good example. There's like a bunch of comics that were translated into T-shirts, and figuring out like what colors make sense for Randall, like what fit, what brand. There's millions of options of T-shirts out there. Do we do heat press or screen printing? Like all those different options. And I think it was our goal to get every single T-shirt in the film, and I think we did it. There were so many.
Because that's the thing. Because you're my first costume designer that I've spoken to. So I was like, and someone else has already covered the film. So I was like, great, I get to just watch one element of this film and focus on that. And with Elias and with it's Blockchain Coltrane, which is like the best name ever. I'm like, no way. I think I saw elements of Rocky Horror Picture Show in there. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I think Definitely. I saw elements of Mad Max Fury Road as well with maybe I just grabbed it, and maybe I'm completely off base with that. But maybe could you expand on that a little bit, because you're right, they're really sort of theatrical and sort of intricate costumes.
I think that with those looks specifically, I needed like a jumping off point for each of the costumes and each of those beats where we see Elias and Blockchain Coltrane. And I think that you're exactly right. I started to pull from like, music, pop culture references, to have some kind of like inspiration that then me, the makeup artist and the hairstylist, the three of us could kind of like put our heads together and be like, okay, well, what's going to make this look cohesive? I think the Mad Max look you're probably thinking about is his like aviator goth look with the goggles on his head. Yes,
because it's also something which I noticed, I'd seen in Cruella, which is again with the spray sort of across the eyes. But again, it's just something else.
Yes, that look was like that was a Blade Runner look, I think that one. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, you're right.
His looks kind of are the joke in the scene. They're very quick beats, and they needed to read very fast. So there needed to be like in each look a strong element that kind of made it read very fast for the audience. I think that those were great influences for me. Like the Addams Family was another influence. I think also with those two characters, Elias and Blockchain, I kind of wanted Elias to lead the pack with in terms of his style that we see in each scene, and then Blockchain was kind of like one step behind him throughout the like character arc of Elias. So he's kind of, maybe he's picking up Elias's clothes from the day before off the ground and he's wearing them the next day, or he's like copying him in some way because he's a sidekick.
As a costume designer, do you think that you influence film, the film's identity above and beyond, say the character on the screen?
For a costume designer, like I know I've done my job if the costume choices support the character and they make sense for the character. I don't know that I intended to steal the show with Elias, but I think that he really, like Trevor really went for it with his acting, and he like loved all the accessories and the pieces that we gave him. Like he was really bringing it, like there's even a scene I remember I went to a screening last week and we had given him these long kind of like chainmail rings that were like for these fingers for his devil horns. And he like often goes like this in the scene, but he sometimes goes like this. Like they were like these props to bring his character to life on camera. It wasn't just something he was wearing. It was like part of that character.
So more of a general question for you, having worked in the industry, having been in having been in television and film now for over a decade, what is it that you weigh up in terms of your choices to get involved in any given project, whether it's Saturday Night Live or whether it's I think it's Black Bear as well?
Yes. Yeah.
before you did this. What is it that gets you involved? What is it that piques your interest?
Story is very important to me. I think when I read a script, the story needs to make sense. And also, I need to be inspired by the story. And I don't want to read something that's like, oh, I've seen that done 20 times already. That's a little limiting for costumes, because then there's all these like kind of walls to break down, and you have to figure out how to retell that story. I think also environment's very important for me. Like you mentioned Black Bear, and one of the things that drew me to Black Bear specifically was the environment and where that story takes place. You can draw on elements of, in that case, nature and the lake and the cabin where we shot the film. In Clerks 3, the setting is the Quick Stop. And there's so many like textures and colors and interesting things in the background to kind of like make that whole space make sense with the costumes. So that was very inspiring when I read the script. I think also my job as a costume designer is often to be like a problem solver. I read scripts and often it'll be, oh, like I've never tried that before. I've never done that in any project. Like, I wonder how I would do it. Like, here's some ideas that I could try. That's a really fun part of my job, is just kind of like coming up with ways to do things and problem solving.
Completely off topic. And at the end of the interview, I always ask people the same thing. Can you describe for me your perfect Sunday afternoon?
Oh, probably going hiking with my partner Ian and my dog Sydney, and probably jumping in a creek afterwards, and then going out to dinner. Pretty chill.
Okay, there you go. It doesn't have to be difficult, doesn't need to be complicated. Allison, thank you so much for your time. I thoroughly enjoyed the film, and again, as I said, I learned something new, which is the whole point. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.